Hello. Well, today I want to teach you this. I want to teach you that unpacking standards is much like doing remodeling on your house. So you kind of go through all of the emotions, and we'll talk through that about different phases of unpacking standards and the different emotions that you're going to feel, just like when you are doing a home remodeling. My husband and I just finished remodeling our kitchen, and we're getting ready to start on a new home office for me. And one of the first things that we do in a home remodeling is we gather all of our materials. So you're going to need to pause this video and make sure you have some materials close by for the big work that you're getting ready to get started doing. The first thing that you need is the unpacking standards document. And I want you to print this out because what I've been researching, the latest neuroscience that's out, is that in order to do deep thinking, critical work, it's important for us to step away from distractions because technology is starting to distract us and create like these crazy paths in our brain so that we're not able to really like focus and think and do the work that we need to do. So I'm going to ask you to be really brave, print it off, and instead of doing it digital, we're going to do it paper pencil. Wild and crazy. You will also need a pen or a pencil and then a highlighter. And you will want to print off your standards and know which one of your standards are your priority standards. So I think it'll help keep us off of the devices so that we can really not get distracted by emails or by things that are popping up on our screen, and allow us to really do that deep thinking work. Okay. So I talked to you for just a second about how unpacking standards is much like doing construction on your house. And so I want to share this with you, like a home remodel. When we get started doing construction at the taking apart phase, there's always like this excitement. You're like seeing the nuances and the work. Like my husband and I, when we started doing our kitchen, it was interesting when we were taking the walls apart, the way that the house was built and some of the things that were in the walls and the way they did the wiring. So we got to see kind of like the guts of the house. And so it's like that when you're unpacking standards, you kind of see the guts of the standard, right? And there's like lots and lots of energy. As you get going, it can become very overwhelming. And no, that's very predictable. You're going to notice all the things. It's going to be hard. You kind of start to lose focus and you sort of dread it. But I'm going to ask you to dig deep. And as you dig in more and more, you have a decision. You can continue or you can quit. But if we think about like what's best for our students and we go back to our why, like thinking about how it helps us determine expectations, it allows us to have more clarity. It can help us give really targeted, crystal clear feedback to our students, and really is the foundation of all of the work that you're doing. I know that you're going to continue. And then as you get started and you finish your first standard and you finish your first progression and you start using it with students, I'm hearing back from teachers already and school districts that started this in August, and by December they were seeing the fruits of their labor. They were starting to see the progress, the harvest of their work. And they're like, oh, I got it now. I see the purpose and I'm committed. And so I'm going to just say, hey, do it. You can totally do it. I know you can. All right. So gather your paper. Gather your paper now, your unpacking standards paper. And I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to ask you to get your pen, pause the video, and write out your standard. That's going to be the first thing that you do. You're getting started on this work. And the first thing you're doing right now is which priority standard am I going to unpack? And you're going to choose it and then write it in your unpacking standard document. I'll give you just a moment. Okay, so we're going to look at the first thing. It says circle. Our first step in this is circle or highlight the verbs. The verbs are the action. They are the thinking skills that our students will be doing in the standard. So all I want you to do right now is watch me for just a second. I'm going to do this. So I took a driver's ed standard, and here's the standard. The student should identify and comply with merging speed control, lane selection, and existing situations on limited access highways at speeds of 55 miles per hour. So it's merging onto traffic, onto the highway, onto the interstate, okay? So all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to look at this standard and highlight the verbs, the skills, the thinking work that students need to do. So think about the action. If you're like, what is a verb again? Because sometimes for some of us, it's been a while, right? The speed should, identify. That is something they're going to do. And they need to, that's an action, they're going to comply with merging, merging. So they're going to identify and comply with merging and with speed control, lane selection, and existing situations on limited access highways at speeds of 55 miles per hour. So just like unpacking standards is just like doing construction or renovation on your house, I want you to take your standard, write it, and I want you to do the first step of unpacking. Go through, and all I'm asking you to do right this moment is highlight the verbs, the skills, the actions.